Hey sports card fans, it's John Wade Boggs fan. Hope you're all doing well. 1941 Goudey marks the final product from the popular but short-lived vintage brand. Although the checklist is unlikely to wow many collectors, the colorful release maintains solid value in high grade. After not releasing any new sets following 1938, Goudey reappeared in 1941 with a design that came in 4 different colors. The set is designated as R324. As one of the 3 national sets issued that year, 1941 Goudey seemingly chose an advantageous time to return to the hobby based on a year that saw Joe DiMaggio produce a record hitting streak, Ted Williams hit 400, and the very first Yankees-Dodgers World Series. However, the link, or lack thereof, between the 1941 Goudey set and the year's baseball season might explain why Goudey hadn't been issuing many cards. While DiMaggio and Williams were setting records, they aren't found anywhere in the set. In fact, out of the 33 cards, only 2 Hall of Fame players, Carl Hubbell and Mel Ott, make an appearance. The fact that many of the remaining players are obscure names appearing on their only cards might excite some team collectors, but the general hobby has shied away from it. The basic 1941 Goudey design can be underwhelming, with a black and white player photo, a big league gum baseball graphic, and nothing at all on the backs. However, what makes 1941 Goudey cards stand out is the brightly colored background. Each card can be found with 4 different colors, making for a master set of 132 cards. Yellow is the most common color, followed by blue, green, and red. Many 1941 Goudey cards are found severely off-center or miscut, which affects value and makes high-grade examples tough to locate. While some collectors have ventured to collect a master set, 1941 Goudey is considered complete at 33 cards, regardless of the background color. Cards numbers 21 to 25 appear to have been short printed, but none of the names are especially notable, and Maury Arnovich carries the most value. Without backs to hold biographies or statistics, the player information on each card is sparse. 1941 Goudey cards only include the player's name, team, position, and card number. The only exception shows up on Hugh Mulcahy's card number 1, which mentions that he was the first player to enter the U.S. Army due to the draft that began before the 41 season was underway. The reference to the Army on Mulcahy's card foreshadows the events of the next several years when card production was largely halted as the United States entered World War II. This was because many of the necessary supplies for cards, as well as gum, were needed to support the war effort. The Goudey Gum Company was still around for a short time after the soldiers came home, but never released another set of baseball cards. In this video, I'm going to show the top 10 most valuable cards from the 1941 Goudey set based on their PSA 4 values. Color variations of a player will be listed separately. I'll also give the value of those cards in higher grades, as well as the population count of those grades. Now, as a side note, because some cards have very low population counts, the values in some grades might not reflect current prices, since it may be a year or 2 or even more since a copy in that grade has been sold. In those cases, the price shown for the card is from the most recent sale in VCP's database. Now, before I get to the top 10, here are the cards that just missed the top 10. At number 15, the Bill Pacetto red background card. At number 14, the Buddy Rosar yellow background card. At number 13, the Carl Hubbell green background card. At number 12, the Emerson Dickman yellow background card. And at number 11, the Babe Young blue background card. So, which cards made the top 10 list? Let's go find out. Coming in at number 10, we have the Mel Ott red background card. In a PSA 4, there have been 3 graded copies with a VCP price of $195. There have been 3 graded a PSA 5, the last one selling for $255. There's been 1 graded a PSA 6, the last one selling for $434. There have not been any graded a PSA 7, however, there's been 1 graded a PSA 8. The only PSA 8 sale in VCP's database took place in March of 2019 through REA and sold for $2,400. And just like every card on this top 10 list, there has not been a PSA 9 or 10 graded copy of the Mel Ott red background card. At number 9, we have the George Kaufman yellow background card. In the PSA 4, there have only been 2 graded copies. The only PSA 4 sale in VCP's database took place in December of 2019 through eBay and sold for $250. There have not been any copies graded higher than a PSA 4. At number 8, we have the Mel Ott green background card. In a PSA 4, there have been 3 graded copies with a VCP price of $259. There have been 4 graded a PSA 5, the last one selling for $193. There have not been any graded a PSA 6. There have been 3 graded a PSA 7. The only PSA 7 sale in VCP's database took place in May of 2020 through Heritage and sold for $990. At number 7, we have the Chester Ross red background card. In a PSA 4, there have been 4 graded copies with a VCP price of $275. There have been 4 graded a PSA 5. The last PSA 5 sale took place in May of 2019 through eBay and sold for only $79, and there hasn't been a copy graded higher than a PSA 5. At number 6, we have this Hugh Mulcahy yellow background card. In a PSA 4, there have been 5 graded copies with a VCP price of $275. There have been 3 graded a PSA 5, the last one selling for $307. There's only been 1 graded a PSA 6. The last PSA 6 sale took place in November of 2013 through Heritage and sold for $1,434. And there hasn't been a copy graded higher than a PSA 6. At number 5, we have the Babe Young yellow background card. In a PSA 4, there have been 4 graded copies. The last PSA 4 sale took place in January of 2020 through eBay and sold for $300. No copies have been graded higher than a PSA 4. At number 4, we have the Mel Ott blue background card. In a PSA 4, there have been 3 graded copies. The last PSA 4 sale took place in February of 2021 through eBay and sold for $350. Now, there have been 2 graded a PSA 5 and 1 copy graded a PSA 6, but there have been no reported PSA 5 or 6 sales in VCP's database. At number 3, we have this Bill Crouch yellow background card. In a PSA 4, it is a population of 1. The only PSA 4 sale took place in August of 2023 through eBay and sold for $355. And there has not been a copy graded higher than a PSA 4. At number 2, We have the Carl Hubble red background card. In a PSA 4, there have been 6 graded copies with a VCP price of $382. There's only been 1 graded a PSA 5. The last copy of that card sold for $375. And there's been 1 graded a PSA 6. The only PSA 6 sale in VCP's database took place in October of 2016 through Mile High and sold for $136. And at number 1, we have the Mel-Ott yellow background card. In a PSA 4, there have been 3 graded copies with a VCP price of $482. There have been 6 graded a PSA 5, the last one selling for $960. There's been 1 graded a PSA 6, the last one selling for $456. Now, what's interesting here is that there is a PSA 7 sale in VCP's database that sold for $1,113, and a PSA 8 copy that last sold in December of 2006 through Mastro auction for $3,691. But according to PSA's Pop Report, a PSA 7 and 8 copy of the Mel-Ott yellow background card does not seem to exist. Well, there you go, the top 10 most valuable cards from the 1941 Goudey set. We'd love to know in the comments, what do you think about the set and the cards that made the top 10 list? And as I start to wrap up this entire top 10 most valuable cards series of videos, I do have 2 more sets that I want to highlight. The next one being the 1922 American Caramel set, followed by the 1915 Cracker Jack set. If you have any other sets that you would like me to highlight and do a video on and show off the top 10 most valuable cards of, let me know in the comments. And if you've missed either of the last 2 videos in this series, you can check them out right here. With that, that's all I have for you. So until next time, thanks for watching.